welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
Welcome to Season 4, Episode 2.
Or Episode 72 if you're counting.
I have no idea where I was going with that.
I don't know where are you going.
Really
you're not really going anywhere. You're still here on the couch.
I'm not planning on going anywhere for another hour and a half either.
At least.
At least.
Please don't go anywhere. This would be very awkward just by myself.
Yeah, it would be. I'm glad to see you guys all here. Thank you again for showing up for yet another episode. Thank you again, as always, to our patrons over at patreon.com/MarsGirl. You guys make this and other shows possible. I'm very thankful for that. And I don't know what else I need to say right at this particular moment.
We're happy you guys are here, like she said. We've still been working on the same stuff we've been working on. Bombing Kamen Rider movie project, still going strong. Still looking to get through the other half of that script as far as filming is concerned. Still looking forward to Nerf War at MagFest. We're going to have new information about rules and things like that coming up very shortly.
Of course, we have all the old rules listed.
It hasn't changed much. We're just making slight adjustments based off last year's attendance and events that happened. And just as a point of small talk, we're here tonight, but I know a lot of people are not going to be at home within the hour, or not even right now, because it's midnight opening for Smash.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yes, and we have no fewer than 2 Smash parties to attend this weekend.
Yep, that's the truth. So, busy weekend just for Smash parties, although we also still need to get some filming done.
Yes.
I hope that gets taken care of also.
Well,
Please let the weather be good.
Yeah, hopefully.
We're just banking on the weather at this point.
At least we're better off than the North right now, because Buffalo...
Man, Buffalo. I'm sorry,
What
North.
Yeah, if you guys are viewing from the North, stay warm, but I'm glad I'm not up there, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
One of the few times I'm glad I'm down here in South Texas.
I went through Buffalo to go to Kanji, and...
that one you did by limo, right?
Well, flew into Buffalo, and then met up with Justin, actually, and Kyle Hebert, voice actor Kyle Hebert. And yeah, we all got into a limo and rode across the border into Canada for a few hours to go to Kanji. And it was cold just by my standards at the time, but it wasn't really snowing yet. And I just can't imagine, because everybody up in Buffalo says, I've never seen snow like this in my life, because, you know, it hasn't existed on human record like this before.
And they're even saying here in town it's supposed to get so bad on Saturday, there's a slight chance, they can't predict it because that would be wrong, you know, if they could put that post out there, but they're saying there's a possibility of tornado-like weather.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah, like, how can you know that so far ahead of time, is my question.
And in winter?
Well, see, it's the whole thing. The Farmer's Almanac says this is supposed to be a really harsh winter, which, again, I'm wondering how that's going to affect us in January come MagFest.
That's true. I'm really nervous about that.
Last year was, you know, that was the first time we fought in the snow.
Yeah, which, it dwindled numbers for attendance just a little bit, but it was still pretty strong. It was still a nice full field.
It was a good trade-off because we had more spectators than we did combatants, but there was still a good number of people there.
Yeah, so, and everybody last year was also asking, well, you guys are still, what are you going to do about the Nerf War? I was like, we're going to fight. Like the snow wasn't a big deal to me.
That's not even a question anymore. Like, we're there.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So, but I don't know if the snow is going to be acting that bad. Granted, that's mid-January, but I'm also hearing it's supposed to hit its peak worst in mid-January, so I don't know.
I think the best we can hope for or do is just tell everybody bring winter gear.
Yeah, that's all we can do, and then play it by ear at that point.
Yeah, but we'll make more announcements about that as we get a little closer.
Right.
But having said that, you're here for a show. We should probably talk about tonight's stories.
Right, so our current topics for this evening, a couple years ago, Nexon, the Korean MMO kind of free-to-play studio, announced that they were making some kind of Ghost in the Shell game, and now they've finally released a teaser trailer for said shooty Ghost in the Shell online thingamagoober.
And it looks really pretty.
It looks pretty, yeah, especially for being free to play. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the program.
Then our second story is going to be about the supposed, I guess would be the word I would use, merger that was going to happen between Hasbro, the toy company, and Dreamworks, the movie and weird face conglomerate. How they were trying to get together and merge, and how that didn't quite go off as planned.
And then finally, my goal was, I was never really attempting to talk about GamerGate. And
we were actually trying to avoid it.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm gonna have to touch upon it, although I'm gonna try not to stay steeped in it. But somehow Jack Thompson got wrangled up into all this, and Jack Thompson is ex-Florida bar lawyer who's now crazy, wacky activist who has somehow gotten wrangled into GamerGate shenanigans, and he's a crazy person, and I'm going to talk about why nobody should listen to anything he has to say, especially when it comes to GamerGate.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun with that topic.
What a crazy man.
Yes. But more on that when we get to it. But we've also got follow-ups. There's always follow-ups. Okay, so teasing ahead of time, more than likely, next week's show, one of the main topic stories will be related to what I'm talking about right now. Jurassic World's website went live this week. Yeah, well, I'm leading off with it. I'm sorry. I was thinking about leaving that towards the end, but I'm leading off with it. I'm sorry.
I don't care. Just keep going.
Well, it's come live, and there are pictures of one or two cast members, notably B.D. Wong, reprising his role from the first movie, but they have confirmed that a week from today, the first footage from Jurassic World will debut.
Oh boy!
Yeah, because some people, I'm finding some people are actually very excited about it, and you are decidedly not.
No, I'm not, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's gonna be a monster movie. It's not gonna be this mystifying... It's not... Yeah. Like there's charm to the first movie, and then Lost World, and then the third one are monster movies. And then this one decidedly will be a monster movie because they're crossbreeding dinosaurs to become dinosaurs of their own.
Yeah, and admittedly, in relation to that, somebody seems to have leaked a picture of the Lego sets that are going to be tied into the movie, which supposedly gives our first look at the, I believe they're calling it the D-Rex. The new super dinosaur that they've created.
She wants the D.
Okay, we're gonna keep that for next week, but
she wants the D-Rex.
She wants the D-Rex. Hashtag she wants the D-Rex. We're coining that now. You guys go ahead and use that.
No.
But yeah, just letting you guys know ahead of time, that's probably what we're gonna talk about next week. So, shifting from dinosaurs to giant monsters.
What's the difference? What is the difference right now?
Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
The PlayStation 3 on the 15th of next month will be releasing the Godzilla video game. Now,
that game looks so good.
It looks so good. If you guys haven't seen the promos for it, there's a new one that just came out yesterday. This thing is like a godsend to people who have always wanted to terrorize a whole city and tear down nuclear reactors and go toe-to-toe with Mecha King Ghidorah or Hedorah or any of the numerous monsters that he's fought. And it's beautiful. Now, you'll have to import it, though. The thing is, this is a Japanese release, but thankfully, since it's on the PS3, you can just bring it over here, and really you shouldn't have any problems playing it. But this thing's going to be coming out next month. It more than likely is on our Christmas list.
Yeah, more than likely.
Because this thing just looks so good. And there is apparently DLC to where you can play as the most recent Godzilla over there, which would be, I guess, circa Final Wars. But there is a DLC available to play as this year's movie Godzilla. So you're able to do that, terrorize all these towns. They've got sweet camera angles, awesome. Like, we're not talking about, like, Super Nintendo Godzilla fighting game. We're talking next gen, well, not really next gen, current gen, definitely worth your money Godzilla action.
Yeah,
so
it looks definitely worth it, that's for sure.
Yes. Also, supporting Miku Hatsune is important because given the disaster that was her appearance on David Letterman,
it was
she needs
so
all
embarrassing.
our support. She needs all our support.
It was so embarrassing.
Well, thankfully, just 2 days ago, the new game Hatsune Miku Project Diva F2 was released over here.
I want it.
That's on your Christmas list.
Yeah, I want it, because I'm a rhythm game fanatic, and I'll buy almost any rhythm game, and I don't hate Miku.
No, I like Miku.
I like Miku.
Like, I'm not as crazy, oh my god, Miku's my waifu, levels. But actually, I really enjoy the songs, just for being songs.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, she's gotten more popular. Now, more people can recognize her nowadays. But this new game touts the ability to make your own music video within the game, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing how those mechanics work.
Right.
And I'm sure somebody could tell me, because it's already been out in Japan for I don't know how long, and it's been out here for a number of days already. So, somebody
it's a worthy buy. You guys can go ahead and pick it up if you have a PS3 or a Vita. Hopefully the PS3. So, moving on to other news. I thought this was interesting. So, Yoshi Sudarso, who's playing the Blue Dino Charge Ranger in this next season of Power Rangers, the adaptation of Kyoryuger Power Rangers Dino Charge, apparently is a fairly good Super Sentai fan. So much so that somehow Toei let him see the suit design for the Ninjas, the next Sentai after the current one.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me this story.
Yeah, this has been showing up on a few sites this week, and I think that's amazing. That we're actually having a current Ranger who's aware of Super Sentai, so much to the point that the parent company was like, no, yeah, come on over, we got stuff to show you. And apparently he's got video of it, but he's got to clear it with Toei whether or not he can post this video. Now, admittedly, it'll probably be another, I'd say a good 8-10 weeks before they clear that, because we're going to want to be fully into the new year before that stuff gets leaked, right before the show's set to debut. But that speaks volumes to me. Like, that in and of itself makes me want to watch Dino Charge, because this guy knows his stuff. Now, admittedly, he's not playing Nosan, the exact same character. He's playing a different character.
Right.
But it's still friggin' cool that he understands where the source material comes from. Because I can tell you, I've seen any number of interviews with past Power Rangers who say they know about Super Sentai, but really their knowledge only goes about that deep. And especially, and I hate having to bring it up, but like, you consider Jason David Frank, who seems blissfully ignorant sometimes of what Super Sentai is, considering how long he's almost been the flagship guy. Like, you should know.
Yeah, but
a little bit, you would think.
He's so... This is my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you my life because it's about me.
Well, anyway, point being, it's pretty cool that that's going on. The other big news coming out this week is that we got our first look at the poster for the next Dragon Ball Z feature film, which notably sees the revival of one of, if not the most legendary villain, Frieza, coming back from the dead.
Ooh.
Now,
Does he need to come back from the dead? No. Will people stop paying to see Dragon Ball Z movies?
No. Well, because, I mean, as far as we're aware, when Battle of the Gods came out in theaters back in August, every showing we looked at was sold out, right?
That's true, yeah.
So, yeah, there's still such love for Dragon Ball Z that, yeah, of course they're going to want people, spending more money on it. This is their cash cow. And, of course, yeah, we're going to want to bring back Frieza at some point, because it's kind of the same in any sort of media. Nobody's really dead. If we need them to come back, they'll come back.
Well, especially in Dragon Ball Z.
Well, right, since you've got the Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
Well, because when you think about it, it's probably fairly easy, or it's probably not going to be that big of a deal how they bring him back. It just matters that he's brought back and that he gets to have.
It's just gonna be
that fight
fresh.
with Goku
It's
again.
just gonna be fresh fight animation. That's
Well,
all
see,
it's gonna be.
the thing that gets brought up is that when you think about Frieza getting defeated, he's either been defeated by Trunks, or if you count the movies, he was defeated by Gohan. Why can't I Goten and Trunks again? Trunks. So Goku never really got the kill on that. He's defeated him, but he's never outright killed him. So maybe this will settle the score.
Maybe.
That's the hope, is that people are going to get to see that. Next bit of update. A little bit more news on not quite Justice League.
Boy, as
more
always.
set video has come out revealing that they are in fact filming for the upteenth time Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed.
As if we don't know his parents are dead.
Yeah, like, at this point, we don't really need that information anymore, but I guess for the world of Man of Steel, which is now becoming the DC movie universe, I guess it's necessary.
I guess. I have no idea what they're trying to accomplish.
The one thing that's interesting about it, though, is that the movie theater that they're nearby when they get shot is showing the movie that they have gone to watch, I should say. In the comic books, he's gone to see The Mark of Zorro with his parents. They leave the theater, and then, the tragedy happens. The interesting thing about it is, at that theater, they're also showing there's another movie playing, which is Excalibur. The 1980s,
A dream to some, a nightmare to others!
Movie, classic.
Yeah.
Which shows accurately that Ben Affleck is playing Bruce at the right age to date. Because he would have been about, 9 years old when that happened, and that more or less matches up with the comics. So I'm like, okay, that's nice. For all the things that we hear are a little wacky about it, that's a good little touch.
Yeah, one of the only good things that I've seen come out of it is a set dressing.
Exactly. That's got to say something. And the last thing we're going to talk about in updates is, finally, we've got the official first look at the cast of the live-action Attack on Titan movie in full suit.
Well, they're nice-looking photos, but as you said to me, they look like cosplay photos.
Well, yeah, by this point, it's a little hard, because when you look at them, like, obviously, like, you're looking at Armin here. Armin doesn't have his blonde hair, and, yeah, when you're looking at these, it just looks like really good cosplay, but because by this point, yeah, there's been a ton of Attack on Titan cosplay. So they're going to have to do a little bit more to distinguish
everybody
this.
looks too old. They all look too old to me.
Yeah, on average, everybody looks at least 5 to 7 years older than their anime and manga counterparts.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing to point out is that apparently they've fudged the story just a little bit to where it's not quite the post-apocalyptic medieval setting that we know from the anime and the manga, but more of a modern post-apocalyptic setting where they still have access to certain technologies. Like, here we have a picture of Hanji, her actress, and yeah, it's the right costume, but she's holding an RPG. And a notable thing about Attack on Titan is they don't really use, modern conventional weaponry like guns or rocket launchers or things of that nature. Yeah, they use cannons sparingly, but for the most part they use blades and, their 3D maneuver gear. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. More on that as it develops, basically. So we'll have to get moving because we got a lot of show to go through. First story, Ghost in the Shell.
Okay, so this is a screenshot from the trailer that was released by Nexon. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Nexon is pretty famous Korean free-to-play development studio. Really famous, for example, Maple Story. Super, hugely, immensely popular MMO, free-to-play MMO. I also played Mabi Nogi, and then another game that maybe is kind of good to compare this to is Counter-Strike, they called it in other countries just Counter-Strike Online, which isn't really accurate here in the States. In the States, they called it Counter-Strike Nexon Zombies.
Yeah, it's
so
kind of a...
Well, because we already did our own Counter-Strike stuff,
well,
and
yeah.
so they couldn't call it Counter-Strike Online. But I make that comparison because this, it's kind of weird to be talking 2 weeks in a row about kind of similar style games, because it seems to be yet another team-based, you know, your shooters where your characters are already predetermined, because these characters are characters that exist within the Ghost in the Shell universe already. Again, very Team Fortress 2 in nature, although it looks like it's serious the hell up for the sake of
this
Ghost in the Shell.
This isn't the same thing nearly as Team Fortress or even last week when we were talking about Overwatch. It's nice to note that they're working apparently in tandem with Production IG, who's been handling most of the Ghost in the Shell animation.
And Kodansha. Yeah.
And Kodansha for the last 10 years or so.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes me feel better.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have notably, Nexon has notably worked with, legit hand-in-hand with other companies when they're doing licensed games.
Right.
That happens very frequently. A lot of free-to-play Korean MMOs from all kinds of other countries. Like, there was the Gundam, what was the name of it? It was basically a gachapon style game where you collected little tiny SD Gundams and then you piloted them.
I kind of remember that.
It was a Korean studio that developed that one, and same with the Digimon RPG that I don't even know if it still functions or not. I'm sure somebody could tell me. The DBZ MMO that they kept saying they were going to bring over here, and then I don't think it ever happened. All those games, like, Korea does a notably good job of getting the legit licenses, partnering with Japan to bring out a pretty substantially good free-to-play multiplayer game.
Now, the thing about it that I like is that this isn't taking off from the current Ghost in the Shell Rise look. This is more of the standalone complex
kinda
look, which I actually think is the best rendition in my book. Like, that's the one I latched onto the hardest.
It's the closest to the original manga interpretation, I would say. I'll still say that I do have a deep love of the original movie, but stylistically speaking, it is its own separate thing, all on its own. Whereas Major Kusanagi, in that movie, she was specifically designed to look very kind of androgynous in the face. Like, that was on purpose.
But
I said in the face, you dolt.
Alright. But my focus was here.
Well, yeah, see, that was the thing about that movie. That director had a problem, and he was kind of proud of this problem.
Yeah, we've heard of this, yes.
The end of the movie where she's all naked and she's getting ripped to pieces, yeah, you're looking at her boobies, but she's also getting ripped to pieces. And
which is kind of disturbing.
And in interviews, he said, well, I wanted to put that in there because that's something that I get off to. And I was like, whoa!
Like, why would you outright admit to that?
Okay.
Like, really?
Thanks, guy. Anyway, this is not that.
Thankfully, no. This is like standalone complex, but a little more modernized and very clean looking. You've got all of Section 9 there, and they've got individual... Well, not the individual 11. No, they've got individual parts that they play as you map these levels out. You know, you've got Togusa, who's apparently got a little drone that he sends ahead. Mm-hmm. Bato's got this nice arm cannon. The Major, of course, has her stealth that she can rely on. And apparently they've talked about...
Somebody's got turrets.
Yes.
There's always a character in these games who throws up turrets.
And Saito's got the ability to see through walls. Now, yeah, this kind of sounds similar to stuff you see in Team Fortress or even Overwatch, like we brought up last week. But the thing about it is, this... Yeah, there's not the comedy there in this. Mm-hmm. This is very... To me, this looks like it could run alongside your Call of Duties and your Gears of War. Like, this looks...
I guess. I mean,
like, this looks like it could take off, is what I'm saying.
Well, it looks good for a free-to-play Korean massively multiplayer shooter.
Now,
Yes.
are there many of those?
Well, there's Team Fortress 2.
I mean, aside from that.
Did Counter-Strike ever go free to play? Well, I mean, Nexon did their version of Counter-Strike, so
right.
yeah, I guess so. A few exist, yes, and now that Blizzard is also... Now, granted, I don't think that one's going to be free to play. You'll probably
you're going to have to pay for that.
You're going to have to pay for that, because Blizzard is too cash cow to let it go free to play. But now it's going to have to compete with well-known company Blizzard Activision. So, although free-to-play is mighty nice, it's just that anime still, like, as it grows in popularity, it doesn't mean it's not still niche.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that if it has to compete with Blizzard's team shooter, then I'm not so sure how well it will compete.
Well, this is kind of going off on a tangent, but try and stick with me on this. Okay, so we've mentioned before that they're talking about getting Ghost in the Shell off the ground with DreamWorks. You know, they're still in negotiations.
Funny how that ties into
funny how that ties
story.
in. But, you know, they're trying to tie it in. If they get that off the ground, if they can backtrace to this, you know, tie them together, then you could get this game, but then have skins of the movie characters, you know, as a good tie-in.
Yeah, maybe.
That kind of stuff sells. That kind of stuff is popular.
You'd have to get licensing from DreamWorks too, and that could also be a pretty penny. It all depends on just how well the game itself does for them to be like, well, is it gonna be worth it? 'Cause Nexon, like, they do make a lot of money, but most of it goes into friggin' MapleStory.
Yeah.
They've got MapleStory. MapleStory 2 was supposed to come out this year. I don't know that it ever actually did. MapleStory Adventures came out and then quickly closed. There was a trading card game like MapleStory is their cash cow. And all the other stuff is just kind of, well, we can just throw whatever support into it, because it's going to be free anyway. Whatever.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if it'll make a lot of money.
The thing I like about it, though, is that not even considering the movie, even if this comes out, this still speaks to the staying power of Ghost in the Shell as a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Because even for newer people still, you know, learning about older titles, and yeah, I guess we're talking about a generation gap between us and, you know, the younger game-playing audience, Ghost in the Shell is still one of those titles you harken back to. Like, even if you're watching Psycho Pass or JoJo or whatever's, you know, showing on Crunchyroll right now, you talk to anybody who's been in it for a while, and you still harken back to Cowboy Bebop, Akira, Ghost in the Shell. You go back and you watch those.
For history's sake, at least. Yeah, I would say so.
Because you think about that. Like, people still forget now, if we didn't have Ghost in the Shell, the Wachowskis wouldn't have had anything to steal from to make The Matrix.
The Matrix, yeah.
The visuals in The Matrix.
Which is why, because we were saying for so long that, oh, well, we'll never get a Ghost in the Shell movie thanks to The Matrix, but at the same time, at the time, I was satisfied with that, because I really did think, well, we will never get it, because nobody's ever going to want to get it, because nobody's gonna get it.
Right.
It's not gonna click in anybody's heads, but now we're under this discussion of, oh, they could do it. That's weird.
Like, we live in a time now where there's a possibility of that happening. Mm-hmm. And here, I think, if they do well with marketing the game over here, that'll help create support for them to get that off the ground.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say the character models look good and true to their anime counterparts.
Well, the one thing I'll say right off the bat is this: there's no way this can't be better than that PSP Ghost in the Shell game, which was really, really simple.
I don't think I ever played it.
Yeah, you can pick it up on eBay for about $7 with shipping. It wasn't that great. I borrowed my brother's copy. Now, granted, it had full voice acting. Thankfully, you know, they had the full cast there.
Not
Richard
hard
Epcar,
to get anymore.
Not hard to get anymore. But still, at the time, you know, if you're there watching you know, standalone complex on Adult Swim, and then you're like, wait, I can pick up this video game too, and it's still got the voices of the Major and Bato and Togusa? Hell yeah, I'm gonna play this? Crap.
See, but that's the kind of person you are. You think that tie-in games will somehow be good.
I am a consumer whore.
Tie-in games very rarely are good. And you like
there are exceptions.
Comics and
there are
hero
exceptions.
games, and those aren't good.
There
and
are
you
exceptions.
Think that they are,
there
but
are
they're
exceptions.
Not. No.
There are exceptions.
Name one.
Arkham City.
It's not a tie-in game.
Oh, like official. That Riddick game.
Yeah, I guess.
See, that's an exception.
I guess.
It happens. Now, granted, the good thing about this game is that even if they're basing it off standalone complex, it can have its own storyline. You know, because it's not tied to Rise. Yeah, we see the laughing man symbol on people's heads, but I think really for this trailer they're artistically using that to not show like Togusa slitting somebody's neck.
I don't know about that.
Well, you see it here.
Yes, and I'm sure I don't think it's for censorship, Josh. I absolutely do not believe that it's for censorship, because you're also seeing people get shot in the face. Like, come on.
Well, even so, I mean, it would be nice. Just going off that, it would be nice if they're bringing back the Laughing Man for this game.
That's what they're doing. That's why the picture is there.
Yeah, but they'd have to do it slightly different if you know the story, because
yes,
it wasn't all about...
but this is just a team shooter. That's all this is.
Well, there's probably justification for it. The one thing
no,
that
there's probably not. There's probably zilch story in this game. Zilch.
Oh, I would hope for more than that, because that's...
No! When was the last time you played Team Fortress 2? What's the story in Team Fortress 2, Josh?
I teleported bread.
You see, this is why...
Now, the biggest thing that the trailer manages to keep to a bare minimum, maybe about 3 seconds, that makes me happy, is that they've got touch comas.
Okay.
I want to play as a Tachikoma. I've always wanted as a Tachikoma. I'm waiting for technology to catch up so I can have a Tachikoma.
I'm sure someone's built it.
I've seen some fairly decent cosplay of it, at least, but, yeah.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough of that. Okay, moving on to our second story. So, they were these two companies, right? And they kind of did things that were similar. Oh, you make movies, we make toys of movies, or we make the toys that you turned into movies.
They don't do things similar in any way, shape, or form. Actually, so DreamWorks Animation, specifically, it's DreamWorks Animation.
Okay, DreamWorks Animation
that we need to talk about here, not DreamWorks as a whole. They've lately been looking to get partnered with somebody or bought out by somebody. You see Hasbro here on the screen right now, but actually Hasbro was not the first company to come to them and be like, this could be good for us. Actually, that first went to SoftBank. SoftBank is a cell phone company in Japan. I have no idea what they would want with the licensing of DreamWorks Animation. That seems kind of bizarre to me.
What gets me is they were asking the asking price at the time that SoftBank was looking to do business, $3.4 billion.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Those are crazy numbers.
But for some reason, and some reason we might never understand, they decided, you know what, we better not do this. So then Hasbro came in and they're like, we're pretty interested. And, you know, when I first heard that, I was like, really? They're going to partner with DreamWorks Animation? How's that going to affect... Like, I think I even said this out loud to you. How's this going to affect their relationship with Disney? And apparently, that was, in fact, a problem.
In a way, that constitutes kind of a conflict of interest.
Yeah. I was like, that's going to be a problem somehow. And it turns out it actually was. Because it would seem that somebody, somewhere within the deal... decided to leak information to a whole bunch of different Hollywood press outlets anonymously in a big old letter that identified all these different pieces of what would make this deal happen, which includes how much money was going to be exchanged, just what work they would have to do. And that leak really apparently hurt the business deal. Not to mention, yes, Disney was pissed. Like, no duh, they're kind of going after that, well, if you guys go with DreamWorks Animation, then we have to consider you our enemy. You know?
And
you're our competition after that.
Really, you don't want the House of Mouse as your enemy.
No.
Because no matter how much money you guys are trying to pull, they've got giraffe money. You need their giraffe money.
Apparently, I'm trying to find the exact quote within the article I'm looking at, but I think the word nuclear was referenced.
How? Like, how did they use nuclear?
In reference to how well Disney took the news.
Oh, they went nuclear is what you mean.
Like, they were pissed. Like, they were about to, like, sever ties immediately because Hasbro makes, like, this right here. This, not this. This...
Well, actually, yeah, that's a good example.
This was Star-Lord's gun from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's basically a Nerf weapon, because Hasbro makes Nerf.
Yeah.
And
Nerf.
And somewhere around here is my Thor hammer. Also,
it's over there by the TV.
Also made by Hasbro. So, friggin' Marvel, which is owned by Disney, Hasbro has been making their toys, a lot of their toys.
Here it is, I found the quote. A source with knowledge of events says Disney execs had a nuclear-level reaction to the talks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, really, that was my question in the first place. Like, Hasbro, what kind of idiots are you? Like, why would you even think about that to begin with?
Because you think about it, when Disney got... Yeah, I love that guy. When Disney acquired Lucasfilm, that was so under the radar, like, we didn't know until that day that it was going to go down. That's how you do business. You know, you do the business, and then you inform people that business has been done.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can't say anything, you react. That's a power stance right there. But when your dumb butts are saying... It's like posting on Facebook about something and then wondering why people know about it. You know? Like, how come you're all up in my business? Because your posts are public. You know? Like we already knew you were talking to SoftBank, now you're talking to Hasbro. Like, what the hell, man? It's none of your business. Well, then stop putting it out in the open. Shut up! You gonna buy me? Like, that's basically the long and short of it right there.
So, right now, DreamWorks Animation is sitting here going, well, we still got this. We've still got...
How?
We still got great movies that we can keep surviving with, which I'm kind of sitting here thinking that's a load of crap, because otherwise you wouldn't be looking for a buyer, for one thing. And then, for another thing, apparently, other than How to Train Your Dragon 2, their movies have just kind of been going...
Because, like, needless to say, the Madagascar bubble has burst, and it burst around the second one, I think.
Oh, really? Then why are they releasing Madagascar's penguins?
Because...
Why? Why are they doing that?
Just because they're releasing it doesn't mean it's going to make money. You know that.
Because apparently Mr. Peabody and Sherman and Turbo both bombed.
Hella bombed.
They both
Peabody
bombed.
and Sherman hella bombed.
Well, just from the trailer alone, I was like, this is not friggin'
Like,
Peabody.
understand, Peabody and Sherman was gone within the month.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how fast it left theaters. Like, because that's the thing, by this point, like, there were points where I had hope for DreamWorks, but then after a while, they got kind of cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
And there's kind of a... Like, you've said this multiple times, you can tell if you're walking through Walmart and you don't really know which movie belongs to Disney or DreamWorks. If you weren't even looking at, you know, the logo of the company, look at the faces on the packaging, and if they've got that...
If at least one of the characters on the box...
At least one character has that doofy smile,
DreamWorks
except we
face.
proved that there was, like, maybe one box where that didn't happen.
And
but
I was
for the most part...
I was like, the Croods! Look at the Croods! And you were like, yeah, but their artistic style and the fact that they're all Neanderthals sort of leans in that direction. But I was like, but that just gave them the excuse to do it!
I had to give you that. You're right. So, the thing that I'm wondering now is that, okay, so the SoftBank merger, that falls through. Hasbro merger, that falls through. Who's going to want to touch them now that everybody knows Disney's pissed?
Well, I mean, the problem is more with Hasbro than it was with DreamWorks. The problem was that Hasbro decided to cheat on Disney with DreamWorks.
Like, how's that going to hinder the relationship between Hasbro and Disney?
And Disney's like, if you don't come back to me right now, we are breaking up. Like, if you don't come back and fix this right now, it is over between us.
And then Hasbro's like, okay, all right, I'm here, I'm good, here.
I'm sorry I flirted with the idea.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it. I wasn't trying to step out. I'm good. Thank you. Please don't leave me. That's basically how that works.
So, no, the problem isn't DreamWorks. DreamWorks is still gonna just keep going past what it's capable of doing, and hopefully not go under. But
yes, Ryder the White. That is exactly what Disney said, and then they were like, yes, I'm back. I'm in line. Please.
It's kind of embarrassing, really.
It is kind of embarrassing, but it is so funny.
That was a little funny. Really, I just can't get over, I'll say it one last time, like, Hasbro, what did you think was going to happen? Like, the idea just seems really stupid, like you can double deal with DreamWorks and Disney. Like, you didn't think Disney would have a problem with that? I thought we had an open relationship.
No! You can't have it all! You know what happens when you try to have it all? You lose everything! Have you not watched Jerry Springer? It doesn't happen! You get beat over the head by some lady with a purse. You know, get kicked in the head with an iron boot.
Okay, forget that.
Yeah, forget that. Okay, so moving on to our last story, which also has to do with people spouting stupid things like, why are you even here? Jack Thompson!
Good night.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
So, okay, how can I start this? Let me start by talking about who Jack Thompson is, because for the most part, he's been kind of under the radar for the last couple of years.
Well, not under the radar, just off the radar.
Well, yeah, really. Completely, like, not relevant to anything, so why the hell is he here now? Who he was a lawyer in Florida. Early on in his career, his notable public career, he was going after, like, song lyrics, vulgar song lyrics, and trying to get all of those things pulled off shelves, and considers himself a very Christian man, wants to keep things away from children, but he goes about it in all the wrong ways. This bled over into video games. He was the kind of lawyer that, he was the ambulance chaser.
Yeah, so, the stereotypical lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just so bizarre, and he can't stay on one side of point. Well, he can't stay on one side. He flip-flops on issues.
His stance, basically.
Yeah, he flip-flops on his stance. Now, he always says that he wants to keep violent, vulgar media out of the hands of kids, and that I believe, and that's basically where he's coming from in our news today. But at the same time, the way he goes about it is he calls video games murder simulators. He can't differentiate between different types of games, and despite what he'll say in one interview, in another interview, he'll sit here and say that all violent video games need to go away, and there is no freedom of speech for violent video games, and people can't have them. So, he had so many frivolous lawsuits. Frivolous. He just sued like crazy. At one point, he just, for no apparent reason, threw gay porn onto a judge's desk, and he's like, what is this? And Jack Thompson's like, oh whatever, I guess I'll throw this case out. Like, there was no real reason for it. So it happened so much that eventually he got disbarred from being able to practice law in Florida. Disappears for a while. So it would seem. Every so often he tries to do stop. I'm trying to actually explain.
I know. I'm trying to get into. Flash forward to now.
So, now, GamerGate has been a thing. And the original concept behind GamerGate, supposedly, even though it's all based on a lie, is ethics in video game journalism. Like that's where it supposedly all kind of pulled from, okay?
But by now that whole phrase is a joke.
Yeah, it just has become whatever you think GamerGate is, that's what it is now.
GamerGate is modern spirituality. Whatever God is to you, that's what it is. Whatever GamerGate is to you, however you choose to celebrate GamerGate, whether you have, your GamerGate menorah or your GamerGate tree or however it is, that's how you celebrate GamerGate. Mm-hmm. Point being, it was bad enough on its own, and you guys don't need us to tell you how bad it's gotten with the slandering back and forth and the death threats. It's been insane, to say the least. Mm-hmm. And now, on top of that, here comes Mr. Insanity to give his 2 cents on the subject.
So, let me talk about who he got interviewed by. There's a group called the Sarkeesian Effect, and this group is trying to make a documentary about the idea of GamerGate and social justice warriors, such as, what's her name, Sarkeesian?
Anita.
Anita, yeah, what's her name, Anita? Who sometimes I agree with and sometimes I don't, and it has nothing to do with GamerGate, it's just her positions on what feminism needs to be. Like, okay, I'll let you have whatever you have to say, she's not bothering me, she's not hurting me. But apparently, some people have a problem with what she has to say, and what other social justice warriors, because for some reason that's a bad phrase, people have a problem with that for some reason, like, and I don't entirely understand why, I'm so confused at the concept of, like, trying to fight somebody like her, like fighting for rights for human beings, like women and other social justice issues. Like, I don't understand what the point of fighting that is.
Well, because really, at this point, it to me anyway. Now, mind you, yeah, just if we can agree on some base points, really we shouldn't be threatening people, with death threats. There's no need for that. If you don't like girls in your Halo, that's your problem. If that's what even your problem was. Mm-hmm. The problem is that in order for these guys who made this documentary to bolster their position, they went to this guy who obviously isn't somebody who's very reliable. Because even in these little bits of video, he's outright contradicting stuff he said in the past, and it's funny to me that he's contradicting himself. Oh, yeah, people have the right to violent video games. Or, like, I almost wish it was like John Oliver on the case, and he's like, okay, well, if that's your position, we're going to play back your video from a few weeks ago, and then show him
where he has said other things
about violent
to
video
the contrary. For example, another interview he said years ago about video games had him saying, "Murder simulators are not constitutionally protected by speech. They're not even speech. They're dangerous physical appliances that teach a kid how to kill efficiently and to love it." So, what's this about, freedom of speech and, to try and bring Jack Thompson in on whatever your argument for anything might be is a very foolish idea.
Yeah.
A very foolish idea, because he will flip-flop in order to make himself look positive to whoever it is he's talking to. And, I had personal experience with this.
Yes, you do.
Personal experience with this, as it, refers to the Screwtack Gaming Convention in 2009. And when he was at that con...
Or when he was going to attend.
Well, I first say when he was at the con.
Okay, alright.
When he was at the con and he was having his debate with another lawyer who fights in the name of video games, he started just saying, like, the nicest, most positive possible things, and all he really wants to do is protect kids, but if you want to play this, that, and the other thing if you're an adult and so long as you're following, like, the guidelines for, the video game...
The rating
system.
Yeah.
So long as you're following the rating system, then everything's kosher. Complete bass-ackward answers to things he has said previously. And people were walking out like, man, Jack Thompson's not really so bad after all. You are kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. The man is insane. And almost certifiably, actually in Florida, they made him take an insanity test, and he passed it, and then he bragged about how he was the only guy in the Florida bar who's ever had to take an insanity test, and therefore he passed, and therefore he must be the only Florida lawyer who was sane. Like, that was almost exactly what he said.
Like, that's trying to bolster something that you really shouldn't talk about as an important thing, but really you shouldn't try and be proud of that. You should shut up.
No, and I go back to this because it does relate to me personally in 2009, because when he was about to attend the convention, I made a video with a group of friends, and some of you guys might have read about this before, but in case you hadn't, but I made a video with a group of friends saying, here's a list of questions not to ask Jack Thompson at his Q&A session at SGC 2009. And it was really childish. Most of it was questions about butts.
Yeah.
Like, are you a butt?
How long have you been
How long have you been a butt? We're starting a band in rock band. Can you play the butt? Like, really stupid questions. And then I also wrote a blog about who is Jack Thompson, what are some historical things.
Just trying to make people aware before they went in there.
Yeah, so that they could make educated questions at his Q&A panel, because his questions were not going to be pre-screened. And yeah, he'd had a lot of really stupid people threaten him with stupid crap over the internet, because it's the internet and you can hide.
And all you were trying to do was do your part. That's it.
Yeah, so, like, less than 12 hours later...
After the video was posted
in Screw Attack's, like, user blogs area, I find in my emails from Jack Thompson! Between Jack Thompson and GamePolitics.com and the Screw Attack Gaming Convention, like, Jack Thompson thinks that for some reason I'm part of Screw Attack, and that I made all these flagrant comments about him and accusations about his religion and stuff, and he threatened to sue me, and he said that everything I wrote in my blog about who he was and all these notable things about him in the news were completely wrong. He started randomly calling people fascists and then saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna show up, you guys paid me X many thousands of dollars to show up, and I'm just gonna go take it and spend the July 4th weekend with my family now." And I'm like, wow, I should not be privy to that information about how much money you paid him, and here he is just letting me read all this crap.
Okay, I never asked you this before, but I have to ask it now. In those emails, did he ever use the word proletariat?
You know, I don't know, but he did use really big, stupid words.
Okay,
I still have the emails, and, like, I don't know what he thought he was gonna do, because he was under contract to appear, and Screw Attack could have taken legal action against him had he not shown up. So I was like, oh man, I was like, hell has just frozen over because Jack Thompson is out for my blood now. This is so stupid. So freaking stupid.
But it got resolved.
It did, because the only thing I was sad about was that I thought I ruined the first Screw Attack Gaming Convention. I thought I killed it.
No, it's fine.
And so I did decide to remove the articles. I actually only locked the video. I never deleted it, and every so often I contemplate turning it back on. It's on YouTube still, but it's locked, it's private. And I just said, hey, it wasn't them, I'm working on my own, and I thought I was doing something helpful, clearly it wasn't. Can you tell me what the correct information is so that I can put it in an updated article? And instead he just replied with, well, aren't you a nice person? See, she's working with me now. I invite you to come down to my Q&A and come talk to me and blah, blah, blah. And then he never told me what parts of my article were wrong. So I have to assume that everything I wrote about him was in fact correct. Including the part about throwing gay pornography onto a judge's desk for no apparent reason. He's just, I can't. If you are relying on Jack Thompson to further your argument about anything, and that includes GamerGate, where I barely have a stance on GamerGate, you're stupid. You're stupid because Jack Thompson has problems. Big problems. And I don't know how to identify them, just that he's all over the place.
I really don't want to do that, but I almost, I don't want to quite go there because you guys know that, or should be aware of that concept. Whenever somebody decides to use Hitler in an argument, you've automatically lost the argument.
Right.
If you decide to use Jack Thompson in your argument about video games, no matter which way you're arguing, you should probably stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically where we're coming from on that. There's no need for that.
No need for that at all. I have run us very close to end time with that, and I could keep going. In fact, one thing I will do before we go is just link to an article on GamePolitics.com which further backs up that my story is in fact true. They just specifically chose not to name me. But that is my ex-boyfriend's butt, in that they've chosen to show in this little screen capture.
That is his butt.
That is his butt, where he asked Jack Thompson if he could play the butt in Rock Band. That is our video. So just so you know, it made GamePolitics.com. It really happened. So, that having been said, I think I'm done.
Yes.
And
Are you right? Did you get that all out?
Yeah.
Okay. Making sure. So, that having been said, we're glad you guys stuck with us for this week. Be sure to come back next week when we tackle, not this, but hopefully a lot of words to be said about that Jurassic World trailer.
Okay.
That's going to be fun for me. Fine. It's going to be fun for them. And in the meantime, you guys can catch up with us over on the Twitters. I'm at JoshKnight1st.
I'm at MarsGirl.
So for this episode of Beyond the Black Rims, thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next time.
Night.